into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Here we go.
Yeah.
We're talking about coming home tonight, guys. Home is a big, big theme tonight. Let's get this song going. You know what? I like it. Let's enjoy this.
If it was just an hour of dancing and music, I would just...
I know, I wish you could sing for us. Sing, dance, try on the laugh.
Maybe later, we have a whole hour.
Exactly.
Let's warm up.
There we go.
Hey, you offered.
Well, guys, welcome to the Second Chance After Show right here on AfterBuzz TV. As always, my name is Ty Matthews. You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, at Ty Matthews PMA. As always, my lovely and talented co-host. Who are you? Where can they find you?
I'm Nikki Preston. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter at Nikki Preston TV and on Instagram at Nikki.Preston.
I'm Jamie Banks, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JamieBanks_.
And I'm Stacey Santiago. You can find me on Twitter at Stacey, S-T-A-C-E-Y, Santiago.
And it is exciting stuff in the studio. We are joined by a very, very special guest. See, normally it's us four. We're talking about the show, but we have a chance to be joined by someone very, very special. You know her as Alexa, the phenomenally talented Vanessa Lengies, everybody.
Thank you! I feel like I should do my introduction. Hi, I'm Vanessa Lengies.
Where can they find you?
You can find me in the AfterBuzz studio. No, you can find me on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is Little Lengies. Even
Twitter, Instagram,
Snapchat. All
Make
of
it
them.
easy. Perfect.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just, it was my gamer handle when I was little. And
Was it?
Yeah,
Little
I didn't
Lengies?
know social media was going to be such a big thing. And I was like, oh gosh, I guess this is the one that's going to stick.
What were you playing back then?
Oh gosh. I played Little Big Planet a lot. I played Lara Croft Tomb Raider a lot. I played, I loved PS2 games. Twisted Metal and...
Oh, so
Twisted
this
Metal,
headset.
my favorite.
You are serious
and
about
then it
this.
goes all the way back. I feel like I have it all categorized through the consoles. But then
There you go.
something happened in the last 5 years.
Right.
I fell off.
We'll talk about Twisted Metal off
Probably
there.
because I put my handle up on social media. You know how much time it takes to be present of the...
So
you
this-
guys know.
yeah.
You're
This
Sure.
headset with the mic
masters
must
at
bring
it.
back memories then. This whole headset and mic deal, you must...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. I don't know if I ever played any first-person shooter games with the headset, but I think I would have gotten into that for sure.
Okay. Well, guys, we will get into episode 9. When you have to go there, they have to take you in. These episode titles are getting longer and longer.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure about this one. We'll get into that. But first, since we have you here, let's talk about your involvement with the show. How did that come about? What were your first kind of reactions, thoughts on the concept overall?
I read the pilot in the summer. They had already filmed it, so I just got the script because they were looking to... I don't know what they were looking to do. When I got the character, it was like a quirky, uptight, very smart assistant to Mary's character, and she had a lot of dialogue, and she was a nervous type of person, so I just went in there and spoke as fast as I could, and they loved it, and so that was great. And then I got the job, and I'm moving to Vancouver, and I'm joining the cast, and it all kind of happened really fast because we shot the show in Vancouver. That explains that. And then I'm just Mary's assistant. And then all of a sudden, I was telling you guys earlier, Rand, the show's creator, wrote me about episode 9 and said, there's a big surprise. Your character is actually 82. And she was the first experiment of the regeneration process. And then we actually filmed scenes that they put back in the show. So my character grew backwards. I don't know how to explain that.
Because watching the show, everybody thought the old man in the scenes with you was your dad at first.
Which is so hot and weird, right?
Yeah.
Is that your daddy? They seem...
Is that what you thought at first, or did you know when you started filming those scenes with him that, okay, this character is not my dad, this character is my husband?
They wrote a scene where Alexa comes home from work and she makes a man a sandwich who's much older than her. And so at that point, I still didn't know. So I was like, oh, so you're just getting to know Alexa's family. But that scene, they didn't film. They were like, we're going to get to it. We just need the location. We're looking on the location. I think the whole thing was a trick. I think that Rand's a mastermind genius and just was like playing his game, and then we only get to find out.
Is it
which
hard?
Made it fun.
Is it hard though, like as far as creating your character when you don't know what's going on or what emotions you should be playing? Was it more challenging, do you think, or is it better not knowing?
I think I would have liked to know. I think I would have liked to know, but at the same time, I'm like, I love surprises. I love being surprised. I guess that's a symptom of loving surprises. Sure. And so it all worked out, and it made it a little challenging and also new and fresh. And then I just got to realize that like this character was super in the moment all the time, and so was I playing her, and I had to just make sure that it all made sense, which was a challenge, and I loved it. And honestly, I thought it was super badass that I get to be 82-year-old woman with super strength who gets to just kick ass, which is the spoiler.
Sure. And we've been watching the evolution of this character from those first couple episodes where we just see these kind of neuroses when it comes to Mary, and we see a very uptight, none of us had expected that it would come to this. But let's talk about you were talking to us a little bit before the show about how the character conceptually was a little bit different before you guys started filming and before you really got into it. What are some of the differences between the original concept and what we're seeing now from Alexa?
Yeah, I think when I first got the script and all of my scenes at the beginning were just a very one-sided character. You have this girl, she is excited, she loves her boss, she loves her job, she's obviously a nervous wreck most of the time, and it was fun, and I got to just play this character with heart and love, and so this character had heart, she was loyal, she was nervous, she had anxiety, and she was really good at her job, so she was smart. And so this is the character that I conceived and I embodied and played. And then when you find out more, I got to kind of open these back doors and show a side of her vulnerability in a way that she's having to kind of have a battle inside of morals, her loyalty to Mary, and her obviously undying love for her husband.
Sure.
Or daddy. It works both ways. Yeah.
How do you feel in real life? Because you're definitely torn in the show. Do you feel like it's good to do the wrong thing for the right reasons in real life? Do you feel that way, or?
Yes. In the way that I feel like a great lesson that I learned this year is that it's so important to do something for yourself that makes you happy, even though it seems like it might be the wrong thing for other people, because in the end, like, you can't make somebody else happy if you're not happy. So in that way, I think it is. And so like there's a line there where in not in this show, but like in life, it's like, are you really hurting? Like, what's the hurt? Is it hurt at the expense of your happiness, or like hurt at their expense, and you didn't need to do that? So in the show, I think that she's in love with this man, and she has been for many years, and she really thinks that this is an opportunity where he can stay with her forever, because she's going to be obviously alive for as long as the tank exists. And then she accidentally falls in love with her job and her boss, and so it brings up this whole conflict. I think Alexa's a great person. Like, I think she wants the best for everything, everyone, and I don't think she likes Connor at all. But so she's in this predicament where she's like, well, this asshole is kind of keeping me alive, and like, will make sure my husband doesn't die.
You're right. If you went against him, he might not let you in the tank anymore.
Right, exactly. And that's one of those, that's one of those kind of morally ambiguous themes that keeps coming up, that keeps recurring throughout this show. And I feel like that's kind of a perfect endpoint to talk about Alexa's relationship with George in this episode, because George, he seems like he's kind of starting to get second thoughts about this whole thing. He mentions that he's been reading about the Romans, and he mentions that they had full lives because they knew that they would be over one day. This idea that life means nothing without death, and so it runs counterpoint to Alexa's, just wanting to grow with him and to die with him. What do we think about his feelings on this?
Yeah, no, I felt like I know it would be hard for Alexa to listen to that, because if I could, keep a loved one alive forever, I would, but he's fine with passing on, and it probably is the right thing to let him pass on, so I understand where he's coming from, but, I wouldn't. If I was in Alexa's position, I would do the same thing.
Sure. Jamie, what do you think?
Yeah, and especially now that Alexa can live forever, as long as the tank is able to, I feel like she would really want him to stay, because now if he dies, it would be even more hurtful to live another life without him.
Yeah, think about how awful dating would be for her. Like, by the way, I'm 82.
Right.
Like that sounds terrible.
So she'll never age at this point, right?
So the whole code, the genetic thing that Otto has made up, keeps you at your most optimal state.
Yeah.
Your
Sure, okay.
cells are everything is optimized.
Wow.
So no, she'll say the same perfect.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, wait, that says a lot about me.
So then in a way, her character is being selfish in that, if she wants him to stay and he doesn't want to stay, then it's like, what, she's gonna have to make that choice.
Yeah, I think it's like, would you, if I could say you could live forever, but none of your family or loved ones could, like, well, how would you
Right.
respond?
I would
I'm
want
asking
them
you.
to live as well.
I'm asking
Wow.
you a question.
I guess if I could keep making people, like if I could just keep reproducing and building families every like
Right.
40 years or so, I don't know. That's a hard question.
Yeah.
That's a very hard question, because it's like, what's forever? Like, how much longer is the world going to exist? How much longer are we talking about?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Then another 300 years is like, my money gonna run out. I mean, it's like,
It reminds me of like Twilight, even though they're not technically human, they're alive forever, and
Sure. Exactly.
vampires and
It's got to get boring at some point.
yeah, you just get
Exactly.
tired. Like, man, I'm tired of breathing.
I
Jeez,
know.
I'm like,
Louise.
my handle's still a little Lengies. Change it to big Lengies.
So we find out over the course of this episode that Alexa was sort of Otto's first attempt at finding a suitable donor, as it were, to cure Mary. And when he finds out that her DNA's twisted, I think that that's how they say it, which is an interesting way to put it.
Was that slang, or was her DNA like actually like, oh no, she's different?
I think it was like, here comes a twist. Alexa's 82 and the first to be have this experiment on, and then twisted, so she didn't come out right.
Right.
It wasn't going to cure the cancer.
Right.
And then you saw that slinky scene where I go into my tub and my spine is like
Yeah, what's up with that?
twisted.
She's got some bad
Interesting.
scoliosis going on.
It just reminds me of Aladdin when Jasmine's like trying to fake flirt with Jafar, and she's like, "You're so twisted." I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Sorry.
And so
Sidebar.
yes, so when Otto realizes that, he just kind of just chucks her off to the side.
I know.
Right.
I can't believe that, though. I thought he had a little more heart than that, but apparently
Yeah, I didn't
not.
like Otto in this episode. I'm like, I'm finding out things that make you a little
I'm
less than
loving,
human.
I'm loving Otto.
I love it too.
I love it.
It's so interesting.
And so it seems like Connor kind of literally found Alexa.
Next to the recycling. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
put his cans on the corner.
And
What's
so-
this?
That is so funny. That was my joke from earlier. She wasn't there yet.
That's right.
You and me.
I
You
know,
and me.
There you go.
sister, I know.
Same wavelength.
Well, Connor must have known what Otto was up to.
Right,
That's what I
right,
was
right.
thinking. Like,
Yeah.
so he was like, "Oh, sorry that didn't work. I'll just take your trash out for you," kind of thing.
Sure.
That's
and so
weird.
Now, it's like you said before, Alexa's kind of grown fond of Mary and knows that it'll break her heart, this kind of pulling her away from Pritchard, but Connor's trying to use that against her and play Otto against her. And it's obviously working wonders.
Yeah.
Even though I'm heartbroken, I'm good.
Right, exactly. And yeah, you can kind of see in that final scene where she's showing Otto that footage, you can see kind of the heartbreak on your slasher face.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was fun actually to have this come out in episode 9, or I guess it came out in 7, really.
Mm-hmm.
But it was fun because I really just fell in love with Mary, who's played by Dilshad, who's just gorgeous and kind and impeccable. Just all of these amazing qualities. So I love Athea from Rules of Engagement.
Oh, sure.
I did an episode of that with him, actually. I've actually worked with him and with Aiden Canto before. On mixology. We did mixology together. Anyways, blast from the past. But I got to like really love them as their characters, you know? And so that really helped with the heartbreak of being the force behind ripping them apart.
Right, yeah.
Britney Spears it up in here. Oh, that sounds clear.
There you go.
Yeah.
At first, I thought that Alexa was so naive and just this young little girl, but now I can really tell that she seems like an older woman in a younger body, even in the way she talks and the way she acts. She seems like an older soul.
I really wanted to make, after I found out, I really wanted to make it clear that with Mary and Otto, I was still hiding something. Like there was a mask on, and then with my husband.
Yeah.
That'll never get old. Oh, wait.
And it's interesting that you bring that up, Jamie, because you were talking to us off air about how the character originally was supposed to be a little bit more kind of period centric, a little bit more kind of on the nose.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I think either Rand is just like puppeteering from the back, and I have no idea, or it was just an amazing magical coincidence. But when I got to Vancouver to start filming and I had my first wardrobe fitting, we were kind of finding out what my character was going to look like. We picked this whole period ensemble, and the hair was kind of pinned up, and it just kind of worked. Now, looking back on it.
Was she like a My Girl Friday kind of character? Like
I don't know.
Otto's watching that video. See?
Oh yeah, totally. I think of
I'm gonna break you up. See?
I think of what's the movie about the hula hoop? Hot Tucker Proxy.
Yeah.
I just got the numbers. Yes, you and I are the same, and you were just faster than me there. You were faster than me. I love it. I love you guys.
So we talked about the manipulation of Otto. Let's talk about his relationship with Mary and how it seems to sort of be devolving a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, Mary has gotten so attached to Jimmy to the point of, giving him the Buick, speaking twin speak to him. That I feel was
burned up Otto.
That was like unforgivable to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you gonna speak twin speak to anyone but your twin? You've known this guy for a couple months.
I know.
I love how much you want to defend Otto. That's so cool.
I love Otto. He goes a little bit off the deep end, but I love this guy.
I know, during his breakdown, we knew he was going to have a breakdown eventually, and
the second she started speaking twin speak to Jimmy, I was like, oh, Otto's going to find out about this, and he's going to flip his shit.
Yeah.
But see, Jimmy's giving her something Otto can't. First of all, Otto is her brother. As much as they want to kiss, okay?
I mean, they can,
as much as they want to kiss.
Frowned upon. Sorry.
It's like Jimmy is in a position to take care of her, where she's always having to take care of Otto, you know? So maybe she likes being in the position of she's being useful to someone, to him, helping him in his cases, and it's like he's a man. Jimmy's a man.
And it's driving me nuts how they won't admit that. They like each other, nothing will happen.
Even still, 9 episodes in.
Mary finally gave in a little bit and is like, I don't know if I want you to leave.
Right.
So how do you guys feel? Like, I just want to know, just gauge the situation. Knowing that he's actually an old man, how would you feel about that?
See, this is something we've been talking about since episode 1.
Because I kissed that guy when we filmed it, and they didn't show it. No, different guy. No, but I mean, if that guy knows how to use the internet and is watching this, I loved the scene. But I doubt it. I don't think he has a Twitter
which guy?
handle.
Your husband?
My husband.
George.
My daddy.
Okay, so you kissed Daddy. Okay.
How was
but
that?
they didn't show it, and I just thought, they didn't show it. Probably because it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. So I was thinking, how do you guys feel about Mary and Pritchard together, even though he's technically
and that's
old?
At that point, you got to think about what takes more of a hand in creating someone's identity. Is it their physical makeup or their mental makeup?
Exactly.
Because Jimmy is still 75 years old, but everyone's perfectly fine with him palling around with Mary.
I think it's the physical, because I'm like, wow,
Right?
Jimmy, yeah, I'll definitely go for that.
That wouldn't bother me. If they had aired that scene, it wouldn't have bothered me at all.
Okay,
Because,
sure.
I mean, quite frankly, we see it all the time. We see older men and younger women all the
That's true.
time. It's
That's
so
true.
normal. I mean, I had a boyfriend who was 25 years older than me one
Right.
time, and he was sexy, gray hair and all. Okay,
I'm with you.
I run my fingers through
about
those
it.
gray chest hairs.
I love it.
Also, your soul, maybe your soul doesn't age. So,
Yeah.
and this is
Interesting.
in Benjamin Buttons and some other
Yeah.
movies, this is a common theme. So maybe if our soul is just always our soul, then it's not so weird. It's just the physical aspect that makes it weird. And now that he's younger, it's less weird.
I love that. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Definitely, yeah. So we're talking about souls, we're talking about bodies, we're talking about a big theme that kept coming up in this episode is the theme of coming home and what your home is. You know, one of the things that really jumped out at me is when does your home become, you know, not your home, and what kind of a toll does that take on you when you realize that? We saw that Albert Lynn, you know, in his sort of, I guess I would call him unformed, it seems like. He seems kind of unformed. He, you know, snaps when he comes back to his different homes and realizes they're not his homes anymore. And we kind of see that same discomfort, I guess not the same, but a similar discomfort with Jimmy, how he's, you know, he's trying to figure out where his home is. You know, he can't stay with the good ones, but Duval kind of doesn't necessarily want him coming around. You know, he's sort of resistant to the idea. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, he was definitely a little bit lost, and I kind of felt bad for Jimmy. He wanted to go home with Duval and kind of mend their relationship a little bit, and he didn't really want Jimmy coming home, and then Mary's trying to play all cool and didn't offer him, you know, back home early on, so I felt really bad for him.
Yeah, I think home is wherever the people you love are, you know, because I mean, for me personally, my grandparents who raised me, they both recently passed away. And then when I go back to the house I was raised in, we're renting out the house now. It feels like home, but it doesn't feel like home because they're not there, you know? So it's like, then when I go to my aunt's house, that feels like home because the people I love are there, you know? So I think it's wherever the people are that you love, that's home.
Sure. Jamie, what do you think?
That's sweet. That's interesting. Also, his home was moved. Moved, and then now Helen's in it. So he probably just feels so lost.
Right, and Jimmy's in this weird like recreation of his
I
home.
love that. Yeah,
right?
That's a great set piece.
And so we also, like I said, we get this kind of subplot of Albert Lynn going around and terrorizing and just really severely messing people up. Like, this was like the most grotesque we've gotten, I think, thus far.
After the monster episode, I was like, whoa, like, this is bloody. And then this one, I was like, ooh. And then coming up, I mean, I'm like, worse? Yeah! There's this one scene that happens in this glass box that I'm like,
oh man.
I'm like, you can't show me kissing an old man on TV, but you could show this. There's something wrong.
And Albert, they say he's skinning people. He's ripping their skin off.
I was eating lunch when I watched it. I was like,
I'm sorry. That's not cool.
I kind of closed one eye. I'm like, I need to watch this, but I don't totally want to watch this.
Okay, it's funny because I was pausing. I was like, okay, is that? Yeah.
Yeah, she's slow.
How detailed are they getting? Let's get into this, guys. And so Jimmy and Jimmy is kind of insisting on helping Duval with this case. You know, Duval's kind of back in this mindset of, you know what, you don't need to help me with all of this. Just do your own thing. But I feel like Jimmy at this point, now that he doesn't need to be a donor for Mary, he feels kind of lost. And I think that's something that Mary shares. You know, she talks about this cancer project and how it's just going to run itself, how it just needs money. And so now she's insisting on helping Jimmy and Duval.
Right.
So it's like we've got Duval, then we've got Jimmy wanting to help Duval, then we've got Mary wanting to help Jimmy and Duval, and nobody wants anyone else's help.
It's a bunch of people who can't say what they really feel.
Right.
Exactly. I know.
You love him, he loves you.
Right.
You guys want to fight crime together.
Sure. And so
that's
I think
true about humans.
Right, exactly.
Otto is the only one speaking his truth
That's
right now.
true.
He keeps it 100,
Props to Otto.
guys.
No.
Otto keeps it 100.
Love you on Team Otto.
I'm
Team
wondering
Otto.
with Otto, though, like when he met with Connor, I feel like he was still being wise. He wasn't totally giving in to, you know, what Connor had to say. But you, Alexa, you have more of a pull with Otto, I think, because you really hurt him where Connor wasn't able to get the job done, basically.
Oh, can we talk about the scene between Connor and Otto, by the way?
Yes.
that went to a place I wasn't expecting. I'm like, oh, Connor likes Otto. Is he playing Otto? Does he play both sides? What's happening here?
Right.
Like the scene where they touched hands and Otto's
I
like,
didn't find it in a sexual way, at least in my opinion, but I feel like he's really trying to like soothe Otto.
He's really he knows exactly which buttons to push with Otto. And
because
he's
Otto was like, Albert, erase that last bit, please. Do you remember? He was like, erase that last bit of video.
Well, so they're playing this game, and I think Connor knows how to get deep down into Otto's mind. He's saying, look, it's totally fine that Mary's in love with this Pritchard guy, just like really subtly setting these like mind traps in Otto, and then you can see that kind of look on his face when he realizes what he's talking about.
You didn't think Connor was like making moves on Otto?
No, not at all.
I love where your head's at.
I didn't remember that.
Okay, first of all,
what game were they playing? Because
I was wondering about that
I have
too.
a memory, and I wish I could remember what game, because I am pretty sure they're playing a real game that is very difficult, like beyond
It
chess.
seemed very complex.
And then I remember these two young kids coming in, and I was like, why? They're probably filming some bloody scene. I'm like, why are the kids here? And they're like, oh, they're the champions, the world champions of this game. They're here to teach Athera and Aiden how to pretend like you look at them.
That's
look
so
like you know how to
funny.
play.
I was so
But
curious
they were
about
like
that.
tiny little kids, and they were just geniuses.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were awesome.
I loved the
Sorry,
symbolism in that scene, whether it was intentional or not, because Connor, who's trying to play it as if he's pure and stuff, is controlling the white pieces, while Otto is kind of obsessively fixating on the black pieces as he kind of devolves into this villainous character.
You're right.
That could be complete speculation on my part. I like to read into things, guys.
You dug deep there, but I like that.
That's like a total symbolism and magic thing, which
Right?
crosses over, which we'll talk about
we
later.
talk about
yeah.
magic, exactly. But yeah, and so we see Otto just kind of slowly getting closer and closer to the edge. It's one of these things where if I can't have Mary, then nobody can. I mean, what do we think would happen to Otto if Mary were to kind of go off and do her own thing with Jimmy?
Do you think Otto would hurt Mary? Like you were kind of saying, if I can't have her, then I don't want anyone to have her, or would he hurt the people that Mary loves?
I guess extrapolated to a far enough extent, if he's got those tendencies, I could see him doing that.
I could too.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be hard to even have friends if you were married. I feel
Right.
like she probably never had like a best girlfriend or anything like that.
I could see her hurting him so she could free herself.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I think it's so funny because I'm like looking and watching and listening, and I know the answer.
Can you give us any hints, or what can you tell us?
Without getting too spoiled.
I was just about to give my opinion about what I thought would happen, even though I know what does happen.
No, let's go with
Just so
that.
funny. Yeah, I think that Mary's. I think Otto would, right? Like, I think that he could be like, oh, nobody can have her. That if I can't have her, no one can have her. So that I think that he has he embodies that energy. And then, but I don't think she would. And then I think Alexa is probably the only friend Mary's ever had, and that's how I justified having my job. Because I was like, I kind of suck sometimes. Like, why, if you run this big company that's as big as Google or Apple, and you have this assistant who's crying all the time, like, so like, why is she around?
Yeah,
but I always thought, because
Yeah.
Mary needs a friend, like a
Right,
good
exactly.
friend.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, they are such like the two twins. They're cold. They're very cold emotionally.
Yeah.
And I think Alexa is probably a warm person, and
Like,
Mary
I'm gonna hug
needs
you,
that.
not gonna shake your
Yeah.
hand.
Right. Well, and we got that moment. We watched it before the show where during that meeting, Mary's just kind of slowly tuning out, and she has this moment where she looks over to Alexa, and Alexa's like really kind of concerned, asks her if she's okay.
Do that again. Do it again. Do it for us.
That's my
That was how I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so subtle.
Gotta
though,
make
you
sure
guys.
we can read the
I don't
lips.
know if you caught it.
I did. I caught that.
But
Yeah.
that scene, it was nice. It read to me not as Alexa, manipulating her, but as genuinely
No, she loves her.
caring
She
for
totally
Mary.
does.
Sure.
She totally does. That was important to get across, or else it's not. Or else you don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm kind of curious why they hired you, though. Like,
Me too.
because Otto, so you don't even know exactly, because Otto kind of threw you out to the side. And I was just wondering if they were able to recognize you and be like, oh, she's alive. Let's hire her if you didn't look like yourself. And
The way I understood it is that he created me, and I didn't cure cancer, but I didn't look like this. So it was some kind of twisted Albert Linney.
And exactly,
looking.
that's how I kind of read it, as
Yeah.
like Albert Lynn is in that same stage where he, you know, that the drunk Lee, he talks about how he didn't have ears, and so it seems like he's progressing in this formation process.
Right, and
so that's
Connor
why.
probably got some of the technology or some of the code and decided to make me, and then was like, and I mean, Connor's just this mad scientist genius, so he was like, okay, great, I'll have her and she'll go work for Mary, and then I'll get the more of the code, and then I'll keep doing my evil bidding, and I can use George to manipulate the situation.
Right. So is without obviously getting too spoilery, because
Oh,
we
did
know,
I already spoil
no,
something?
no,
Okay, cool.
but we know that you know kind of the end game. So what I'm curious, what you guys think is Connor's end game. You know, is he strictly out for revenge because Mary reneged on their deal about the merger now that she has this new lease on life?
I don't think he's getting revenge. I think he's going for the goal he always had in mind. Like, the
Oh,
goal
okay.
was always maybe to take over their company or run their company. And then he saw another way when she wanted to merge. And now that she's cured, he's like, well, I got to find another way to get to my end goal. So I don't think there's revenge. I think he's still pushing towards a goal he always had.
Sure,
I think it's
sure.
a little, I mean,
Well, you know more than I do. So.
no, I just feel
Just
like
like
if
from a
they were
fan's
like
perspective.
hooking up now, I mean,
Well, and we even see that shot of him
Yeah.
like glowering after Mary tells him that, you know, the deal's off. He's
his
just,
ego's
he
got to
says-
be a little bit hurt about the
Not if he's into
relationship,
Otto.
You know, I mean, you're right, but he could be bi.
This
So
is true. This
he
is true.
could still, you know.
What do you guys think about Connor?
I would agree with you, Stacey. Oh, sorry, Nikki.
Oh, no, go ahead.
And also, maybe he also just wants power and money, too.
Nikki?
Yeah, no, I do agree that he did always kind of have a plan, but I do think he wants revenge as well. And I don't know about him. I'm like, he just makes me nervous. Every time I see him,
Oh,
I
sure.
get scared.
I think if he wants revenge, I think it's for something that happened in their backstory that we don't know about yet.
That could be too.
Yeah.
So wait, so you guys do know that that Mary and Connor were
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
We're in
Yeah.
that.
okay.
Yeah. And they mentioned that in this episode, Connor is kind of very scientifically breaking down, or Otto is rather scientifically breaking down the relationship between Connor and
So
Mary.
cute, funny.
And he realized it's interesting that like he's not bothered by that at
Yeah.
all, because he knows it's strictly
There's no emotions
strictly biz.
there.
How does
Strictly
Otto
biz.
not? Maybe Connor cured her. Maybe he. Maybe their copulation cured her cancer. How do we know?
I love
It could be that. You never know.
I feel like,
Maybe
I
get
feel
a
like
test
now
going.
it's
Maybe
like
Connor
Connor's
has
trying to
magic.
get Otto. So he's like, how can I get Mary out of the pic? Like, now I'm on your ride. I'm like, yes. Second Chance is actually a love story between Otto and Connor.
That was the
whole
end game
time.
all along.
Spoiler alert. I love it.
Oh man.
Season 2.
Season right, exactly.
Third
I'm just
chance.
saying, maybe Connor had magic body fluids that cured Mary, and
I believe it. I believe it.
Your face.
I'm just
I
waiting
was about
see.
to say something so inappropriate. Keep
No, say it. No,
no,
go ahead.
I cannot. I think that is absolutely. My brain is going.
AfterBuzz
I'm ready
After
to
Dark.
see
guys.
Jimmy. I still want to see Jimmy and Mary. Like we're
Sure.
on the
Yes.
episode 10 now. When are we gonna see something here?
Such an arduous Ross and Rachel situation. Like, just do it already.
Even a kiss, we haven't nothing
That's
yet.
what I
Right?
you know?
say. I see. That's what I say when Otto and Mary are in a scene together.
I
Just kiss
love
already.
it.
You guys are creeping me out. Just kiss already.
They do stand very close to each other, extra close, and like I know you got to be close on on
Do you
camera.
guys have twins? No, no twins.
No one's
okay.
twins,
I'm an
that's
only
right.
child, so I have no idea. But I'm sure if I had a twin, I'd be like, oh my god, we look exactly the same. But obviously there are other kinds
I'm
of
an only
twins. but
child too.
That is exactly
what
what
it
I'm
is.
feeling.
that
There you go.
was meant to be.
Yeah.
No, I am not a twin or anything, but I have a brother. He's 3 years younger than me, and people think we're dating sometimes, as
Oh,
weird as that
weird.
is, because we're so super close and we stand next to each other like super close. And I don't know, that's the closest I come
Yeah,
to being a
Stacey
twin. I
would
guess.
definitely.
I knew a couple.
Yeah.
I knew a couple years ago that looked identical to each other. They looked just.
Oh no,
alike.
and they were together.
Yeah, exactly. They were together.
Oh,
It was
wow.
the other side of
That's
that.
weird.
That was weird.
But you love yourself, right? Like you gotta,
Of
because you
course.
must, she must, or they must, you know.
Sure.
If you're with the person who looks exactly
Yeah, on a
like you.
totally unrelated note, I was sitting across the subway one time from a white girl that looked just like me, and we kept staring at each other because I think she knew too. We just kept staring. It was like a mirror, only we were opposite.
That's how I feel right now. That's so weird.
It was very strange. We were just like, oh my God. But how can this be?
Let's, we didn't see too much of her, but let's talk a little bit about Gracie's part in this episode. Jimmy kind of happens across her and Garrett having a date at Peng's, and we know what happened the last time Jimmy saw them together and what he threatened to do. What do we think about Garrett? It seems like he's kind of genuinely a good guy, and they just sort of got off on one
You
foot.
predicted he would be back, and you were right.
What do we think?
Yeah, no, I do think he's a good guy because you really saw at the booth, like, he wanted to take her out, to lunch, and he was being sweeter with her, and he sincerely seemed like he was apologizing for drinking and shooting, and I do feel like he's a good guy, yeah.
I don't trust him.
You don't trust him?
Because they had a platter of beer coming to them that Jimmy had to send.
That's true, though. You're
Exactly.
Right. Okay, maybe not. But is it just, young kid? He's 20,
I think it's, yeah.
We all drink. Well, I can't speak for everyone, but you drank a little bit in college, I'm sure, when you're 19, 20.
I think he's a hoodlum.
He's a
I think he's up to no good. He's a thug. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. He's a thug. No.
Right. But I love that role of kind of protective uncle that Jimmy assumes. He knows that she's kind of going through this rebellious teen phase, but he also knows that she's good deep down, and so he kind of compromises with her and sits in on the date with them, which had to have been weird.
Yeah, I like that. I like his reaction to it. I think he was kind of like, okay, she's going to do what she wants to do behind our backs or in front of our faces, but she's going to do it, so let's find a way to deal with this.
I feel like that's my favorite part of Second Chance. Like, when we talk about the show and there's crimes and there's, romance, but I just love the idea of a man getting a second chance at the relationship with his family. Because while we're doing it, sometimes you get blind to things or you say something you don't mean, and to really know to have that perspective and to go back and try again, it's just that's the most appealing part of the show to me as a viewer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the opportunity to be a grandfather, to be a better father to your son, to try to make up for mistakes that you made, because like family, you were saying, family is where the home is. It's the most important.
Sure. And I think thematically that's obviously one of the top recurring themes throughout the show, and Mary even has a line that kind of speaks to that, where she says, I never thought I'd have to figure out what to do with the rest of my life, because she's getting a second chance as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that the cancer's gone, she has a chance to do all of these things that she didn't think that she would be able to do.
Wouldn't it be cool if we could just think like that?
I know.
Right, like right now, be like, wow, we just found out that we're not gonna die.
Right.
What kind of life do we want?
What would you do? Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
Man, I'd probably just do the exact same thing I'm doing.
Yeah, or would you be lazier because you're like, I got all the time in the world. I don't need to get anything done.
And that sort of speaks to George's philosophy, where he's kind of this mindset that life is only worth living because it's going to end one day, and
That's
so
true.
it's we're getting deep, guys.
Guys,
it gets
AFTERBUZZ.
existential. It gets existential here. That was one of the things I wanted to ask you just about the show. What do you think are some of the things that the show is doing that other shows maybe aren't doing right now?
I think that we're getting there, that it's not becoming this procedural show right now. We just started. It's like, no, every single character is actually now intertwined with each other, and this is how the show's going to carry on the next 2 episodes. And I love that. And I think I mean, obviously, I don't know other shows where I've never heard of an actress getting to play an 82-year-old woman.
Yeah, right.
So,
and looking so wonderful at 82.
Yeah, right. I actually never thought about that I must be the optimal. Like, is that optimal?
The prime.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I'm gonna sit with that and really be happy about that for a second. Like, thank you.
Even your tank too. You got more of like a hot tub. You got the cool
That's
one.
like the
You think so?
streamlined.
I was like, what's in this tank?
You got a kiddie pool?
You guys, can I just say, filming that scene, not only did I have to be butt naked, which is already just in case you can put yourselves in that mindset.
No pasties or
Sure.
anything? Nothing to cover?
No, I couldn't have pasties because I actually had to go underwater.
Okay.
And then I had to make sure that my arm covered the things you shouldn't see, and that my leg covered the things you shouldn't see, right? And then, I don't know if any of you have tried to stay underwater like, do you ever think when I was watching it, you float. People
Right,
float,
right.
but apparently people who are brought back to life don't float. So I had to get in this tank, and then there was like a plastic plexiglass at the bottom of the water, and I had to like figure out how to get my hand and my foot and then and make the perfect pose so that I looked twisted in the spine with all of my bits covered and hold on and be underwater
And hold your breath.
and hold my breath. Guys, peak difficulty of my acting career. I will just say that.
So
That is
how
long did you have to hold your
glee
breath?
dances and the bruises and just until they said cut.
How long is that though? That could be...
I don't know. It was kind of that thing where you're like, you can't let air out. You're just like, you're trying to be as still as
That would
possible.
have freaked me
drown.
out. That would have freaked me out. Let me tell you what. I had my body fat measured by dunking in like a tub, and you have to like stay underwater and the whole.
Sounds
It was
awful. Why
it
would
was
you do that
awful.
to yourself?
It was
That is the
terrible.
worst.
And I had
Everyone
to
don't.
and I had to stay under until she said like, come up, and it's like I
wow.
had to let all the air out of my body and then just hold there, and I was like, I'm going to drown. I'm going to drown in a foot of water here. I'm going to drown.
So-
I would have not been able to do that
Yeah,
scene.
how long did it take to shoot that scene?
And I mentioned you guys, my aunt was there
Right.
Yeah.
for the photo that day. Awkward. But she's so lovely, like, thank.
Oh, she's seen it all.
Oh, yeah,
She's
right.
your
She was
aunt.
like, I wiped your butt when you were a baby. You're fine.
At least it wasn't your uncle.
And at
That
least
would've
I didn't have her do it that day, right? That would have been weird. This is so getting so weird.
This
Okay,
is
wait,
getting
what was the
weird,
question?
guys.
I got like
How long
flustered.
did it take to shoot the scene? I don't know how it took
Like a
that
whole
turn.
morning. It was a whole morning. I don't remember.
Was it warm water? Was the
It
water
was
comfortable?
It was beautiful. It
That's
was
good.
like, it was a hot tub.
But yeah, it does seem like that tank is a little bit more streamlined
Yeah.
than
Just
like. Because Jimmy's is very angular. It does look
Yeah.
like a giant fish tank. Like he's
does.
like
Yeah.
He's
joking about with the realtor.
So the weird thing about Jimmy's tank is when they did the first ones, he had to go underwater,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not the most comfortable swimmer I've heard. And then so he could never have done what I just so you know.
Sure.
Just talking myself up. And then but afterwards they put him in a glass box and did it with air, like fans and
Really?
stuff. So
Oh.
Interesting.
yeah. So I don't know how they did that, but
Mm.
so eventually they stopped using water and they just digitally put in the water. And you were asking me about all the technology.
Yeah.
That's all done after.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, I'm doing
All
nothing.
of that fancy looking glass
and
technology.
then somebody makes me look really smart and efficient afterwards.
That is so
and
neat.
thank you to that person because I'm sure they were watching.
That's just that's kind of stuff you see in like Minority Report where they're just like boop, 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 and just
There
getting
was
all
there. I
that.
think it was Athera who filmed a scene and was like boop 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 boop, and they're like you're making the
Was he
noise.
making
You're-
the noises?
I'm pretty sure
That
it
makes
could have
me
been
so-
me.
that makes me
It
so
would be a
happy.
thing that I would do that blame him for something embarrassing that I did.
But yeah, I think you know what we're getting. I could talk about this.
Let's do
all day
another
long.
hour.
Right? Let's go. Mark, set us up for another
We
hour.
haven't hit an hour yet.
I know,
Can you
right?
believe
A couple
it?
minutes.
But we've talked about the episode. We've talked about everyone. So that means it's time for my favorite part of the show. Let's get into some predictions, guys.
Oh,
And now,
okay.
your AfterBuzz
You didn't tell me
TV
about this one.
predictions.
Oh, so good. I love it every time. Every time. I'm never gonna like that less. Let's see. Who are we gonna start with? Jamie, let's start with you.
One prediction I have is that the police will find out about Lynn or figure out that he's a superhuman monster, and then it'll sort of start this drama between the Goodwins, or maybe they'll just start to figure out that this is happening.
Right. Oh, one thing, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because of course, as soon as we get into predictions, I think about one element of the episode we didn't talk about, and that's Gloria getting the axe,
Oh, yeah.
getting straight up GTA'd, hit and run. What do we think? Because she was kind of the only one that knew about this weird quality of the blood. So do you think that by finding out about Lynn, do you think they're going to find out about his nature or what he is?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to figure out something is off there, and then it'll just create a bunch of drama, and the Goodwins will have to protect Jimmy or something like that.
Do you think that's going to come about because someone at Looking Glass spills the beans?
No, maybe somebody else will find out.
Okay.
Or the monster will come back, and then they'll see him. Or
Okay.
something like that.
All right. Nikki, what do you think? What are your predictions?
I'm thinking maybe somehow Connor is gonna set up Looking Glass and make them be the ones that created this monster, and like, you know, they're the ones that want to create all this damage and get them in trouble. And maybe it'll actually bring Otto and Mary and everyone together, because they're gonna have to work together to kind of get rid of Connor and maybe even get rid of Alexa too.
I don't get to play this game.
Stacey, what do you think?
I predicted there are more of them, of those discarded, resurrected people out there.
Right.
Like, if not alive, I predict that they're going to find them like in a landfill somewhere.
Guys, spoiler alert if you've seen The Prestige, that magic movie from 2006, but it'll be kind of like, have any of you guys ever seen that? The Prestige? No?
I have. I'm
You
trying
know?
to think of where you're going with this.
The scene at the very, very, very end, I'm very sorry, it's been out since 2006.
yes.
With all of the,
Spoiler alert!
Oh gosh, that scared me. I was like, the
Thank
police
you,
are
Mark.
here.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, fast forward like 30 seconds if you don't want The Prestige spoiled for you. But yeah, you know, it's a whole bunch of tanks filled with different Hugh Jackmans. And that's exactly that. I see the exact same visual, just a bunch of bodies floating, bobbing up and down in these tanks.
I picture just like a zombie apocalypse of all of these brought back from the dead, but beautiful, young,
Gorgeous, optimal. Yeah, exactly. So that's what you think we're
I think
going to
there's
see?
more. I think there's more.
Interesting.
Either alive or not alive, but I think there's more.
Right. So what kind of consequences do you think that'll have?
Wow, I haven't predicted that far ahead.
Let's extrapolate this.
Are they
far?
good or
Pull out the
bad? Like,
crystal
how come
ball.
Alexa, you're good, and then some are bad? You know, who knows?
I don't think the one from last night was bad, though. I think he was just confused.
So you think that's what was more confused?
Yeah.
Albert? I think that might be the reformation process.
like
might
brain
kind of
damage.
it might bring out these
I
violent
don't think
tendencies.
he's bad. I think he just wanted his
Yeah,
home.
exactly. And when he saw that it wasn't his home anymore,
Yeah.
he snaps and skins people, as you do.
Right. That must
Kind
have
of.
been in there deep somewhere. I don't think that comes from a brain injury.
Right.
It's like the
Exactly.
Incredible
You had to
Hulk.
have that already.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
it's like the
I'm
Incredible
sorry.
Hulk can never kill people because it wasn't part of Bruce Banner. I want to say David Banner from the TV show, but Bruce Banner's
Or the rapper.
makeup. Yeah.
I thought he looked like the Hulk a little bit. The way he was kind of like walking,
Sure.
like a weird Hulk. I don't know.
He's a famous fighter.
Is he? Okay.
yeah?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were talking about his
Yeah,
cauliflower
yeah.
ear.
His cauliflower ears. He's a great guy. He's a famous fighter who, of course, I can't remember. He's probably watching this too. My fake husband, the famous fighter, and the post-production people from Second
Right,
City are
exactly.
all watching
If they're all
right
watching
now.
afterwards.
And they hate me.
Yeah, it's, you know, we find out that he's much stronger than Jimmy. So I wonder if during the reformation process, if they're ultra strong and that kind of gets dialed back as they take on these more, you know, elegant features.
Or maybe they all take on different traits. You know, maybe maybe
sure.
some come out stronger and less intelligent. Maybe some come out
And
more
that's why
intelligent and less
Alexa's super
strong.
smart?
Yeah.
And strong.
Yeah,
And
because
strong, yeah.
Just because I'm bratty and I needed to be strong.
Maybe they're
Right.
like X-Men. Maybe they all have different, you know.
That would be
strengths.
such a great second season.
Interesting, right?
The X-Men.
Well, because didn't you say too originally you were just supposed to be the brainy one? You know. Oh, I don't want to
No,
spoil
that's
things.
okay.
But-
I could say. Rand told me that I was also brought back to life, and I said, "Oh, great! So I'm super strong. That's awesome. I
Right.
can't wait." And he was like, "No, you're super smart." And I was like, "Say again." "No, you're super smart." I was like, "No, Rand, I have to be super strong." It was a total bratty moment where I was like, "I want to be super strong too. I'm a big girl." And then he wrote me super strong. So
I think that's interesting because, you know, people don't expect female to have that, you know, physical strength like the guys. So I think that's very interesting.
I think so too. And
Yeah.
also, just as an actress, I was like, come on, I want to
Right?
Yeah.
Kick some
hold
booty.
somebody up by like without trying.
Exactly.
And I do.
That's good.
There you
good.
go. Okay. So as far as predictions go, and let's see, I'm thinking Otto's not going to make it to the end of the season. That's why I'm going to go super far out there. I think Otto's going to go into super crazy supervillain mode up until the very, very end, and he's going to somehow sacrifice himself for Mary, or maybe even Jimmy.
Wow.
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I hope he doesn't go
I
that
think
far. I
I
kind of
think
want to
he's
keep
gonna
Otto
I
around.
think he's gonna come around at the very, very last second, but it's just gonna be too late. He's gonna sacrifice himself
Wow.
for his sister's benefit. That's where I think this is going. If I can extrapolate this super far, I think we're gonna see the worst of him and then the best of him.
And this was the first episode too where it wasn't like, okay, they cracked the case right away, it was solved. Like they still aren't sure about what's going on on, and it's going to be continued. I'm so excited to see next episode.
Yeah, we saw at the end of that fight scene between Jimmy and Albert at Magic Land that it's not the Bureau that takes him. It's it's Connor's henchmen that shoot him with these tranq darts and vanish him.
Yeah, they didn't solve the case this time. They didn't get him.
Right?
So yeah, this is the first time it happened. So I'm really excited to see the next episode.
Oh man.
Make the lights go again, Mark.
Mark, can we get that? Can we get the
dum.
lights? Can we get some wacky Dario Cueto lights?
Yes.
There we go. Oh, so good. Well, guys, I could talk about this for hours and hours, but sadly, we are out of time. So, Alexa, what kind of stuff have you got coming up? What can people look at?
Me Alexa.
Look for?
That's when I know. No, that's when I know I'm doing a good job. Yeah. I made
Vanessa.
I made you believe.
I'm that close. Vanessa.
That's okay.
What have you got coming up that people can look out for?
Well, the end of Second Chance, and I did. I'm doing a voice in a new Lego Star Wars animation.
Oh, fun!
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's really exciting.
Can you tell us which one, or?
It is. I don't think I can.
Okay.
Here, let me put it this way. I'm not sure if I can.
Okay.
So I'll err on the side of not.
Probably
Because I
not.
want to keep my job.
Right.
And you have a background in voices too, didn't you?
I
Do
did.
preschool.
That's how
animation?
how I started working in the industry. Was I was doing the voices of cartoons.
Look at that.
Which
When I was a
ones?
little
Which ones?
Kid. I did a voice on Arthur, Caillou, the Little Lulu Show. A lot of things that was like, oh my gosh.
I don't want to
now
put you
it's
on
like
the
20
spot, but-
years ago.
Can you do one? Can you do a voice? I don't want to put you on the spot, but or like a sentence, like a word.
Can I do like a different voice than my own voice? I think my own voice is weird enough. I just wanted to tell you that I'm really excited that you had me on the show because I saw you guys all on Twitter and I thought you were funny and nice and it's been really great hanging out with you.
Oh,
Thank you.
I love it. Also, can we get a shot of that phone case? Because that is phenomenal. But thank you so much. As she said, you can find her on Twitter, on Instagram at Little Lengies, right?
That's right.
All right.
But before, I think we should all tag out in different voices.
Yeah, that's great. Do it.
No.
I'm not good at it.
Play. Just try.
Where can they find you guys?
I'm gonna try. I'm Nikki Preston. I'm not gonna.
Do it. Get it. All right.
You can find me at Nikki Preston TV.
I'm Jamie Vicks, and you can find me on Twitter.
That's your regular voice.
Instagram at Jamie Vicks_.
Stacey.
I'm Stacey Santiago, and you can find me at Stacey Santiago on Twitter, STACEY.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Time Matthews PMA, as well as various other after shows.
Yes.
Like The Magicians, Monday Night Raw, and The Underground.
You sound like a wrestler.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, if you're on iTunes, download, rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars if you're nasty, all that good stuff. If you're on YouTube, leave us a thumbs up, comment. We want to hear from you because we love talking about Second Chance. But we'll be right back here, same bad time, same bad channel next week, talking episode 10. This season's just flying by, guys.
Where'd it go?
But Vanessa, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us. It was an
Thanks for
absolute
coming in.
blast.
So fun.
Remember to tune in next week, 7 p.m. Sunday night, talking about the next episode of Second Chance. But until then, guys, take a chance. Peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.